Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to my show and tell this week. So this week, I'm gonna discussing about is design a custom email service that we all can use. All right, we're gonna design a custom email service that we all can use. So first of all, why custom email? Because that's just really simply more professional and just looking better, right? For example, if you have an account like something like a boyan@gmail.com. First of all, that email address may be already being used elsewhere. Second, at gmail.com, it's professional, but maybe compared to custom email address, it's not that professional. But for custom email address, it usually ends with like your own domain. For example, we can have something like boyan@boyan.me, and this can looks a little bit more professional than at gmail.com. Though the concept come up is that Gmail is pretty much free, while custom email, most of the time we need to pay some money. So we're gonna take a look, design our own custom email service. And we're not gonna do with IMAP or SMTP service, all right? And this is really a lab demo, so if you want to do it with me, you can, but due to the amount of time, it's really, I have to rush through most of the code. And the source code is available on GitHub. If you want to take a look, you can. I will leave the source code in the description down below. So stack that we're going to be using and is going to be Django, which is a web framework that we're going to use. Heroku, if we have time, we will deploy our project to Heroku. And DNS is if we have extra time. Yeah, we're going to do DNS part for sure. Basically, if you have a domain, you can manipulate your DNS settings. And then we're going to take a look how we can use DNS settings to get what we call a forward email. All right, so if you guys don't have a domain, what I would like you guys to do is, if you want to do it with me, you guys can go to domain.com, and then you guys can choose a domain, and then you guys can use MLH Feb 2021 as the coupon code. So it's going to give you domain a year for free. All right. So you guys can head over to domain.com, get a domain. You can also use MLH Feb 2021 as the coupon code. All right. So I'm probably gonna wait here for a couple minutes here, so you guys can have some time to register the domain. Oops. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. Okay. So yeah, everyone, you can use this MLH Feb 2021 as the coupon code. All right, let me know if it's invalid. Okay. That's weird because I pretty much tested last night and it's working. Are you sure? Spelled it correctly?
Might have expired or something. Let me check.
Okay. No, I'm pretty sure it should be okay for multiple times, I think.
Let me see, 1 second.
Okay, thank you, Kunal. See, that's the first issue we encountered already. So we're gonna have a lot of issues coming up, but don't worry. It's not from your hackathon. I don't think so, at least.
Yeah, here we go. This is a new code. Try this.
Hacking happy. Okay. It's still invalid? Okay. Yes, you can. You can. But if you already have like, I know Namecheap has its own private email. If you already have that, then you might need to like reconfigure it a little bit. But if you don't have it, then that's gonna work. Yeah, no problem, Louis. If you already have a domain and you don't have like existing email to it, you yes, you can use that domain instead. It's not free. The private, it is free. I don't know. I mean, I have private email, but I don't think it's free.
I have inbound email for free.
Okay. All right. So there are actually a couple websites that we need to sign up because it's gonna be what we call email forwarding service. And basically, what's gonna happen is you're gonna get an email address, but what's gonna happen is the actual email gonna be sent to another email address. Gonna be sent to another email address. But we're gonna use a Django and a database and even a Python worker, so we can save it to a database and we can see it acting like this is like our real email address. And we can send the email like it's our real email address. All right, so once you finish that part with the domain, there's like a few services we need to sign up. Apologize about that. This is like the most time costly steps. But you need to go to testmail.app. It's all if you have GitHub Student Pack, it's also you also get like 10,000 emails per month. If you have that, you can activate that in your GitHub Education Pack. If you don't have it, you can just sign up. Go here, go to testmail.app. And then make sure you save the test mail email address, which is going to give you once you complete the sign up process. And then once you finish with test mail, one final step we need to sign up is the forward email. And then you can sign up using your test mail account and add the new domain. All right, and just to make sure, everybody has Python installed on their computer, right? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yes. So test mail, then forward email, because you're gonna need the test mail's email address. This way, you don't have to use your own personal email address. So you can just use test mail. Once you finish with these three signups, then rest gonna be easier. All right, let me know if you need any help with this sign up process. And then once you guys finish, once everyone finished with the forward email, you can let me know. And then we're gonna set up the DNS domain as well with your domain's DNS configuration. So for test mail, you might need to use your actual email address there for verification. All right. And once you finish with all these three site signups, you can go ahead and set up the DNS configuration. Like following settings. This is like screenshot I took from the domain.com. You can make sure on the DNS, if you're using Namecheap, it might say something like advanced DNS. And then you need to make sure that these two are the only MX records you have. And this TXT gonna be forward-email equals to, and then you're gonna put your test mail's email address there. And I'm gonna send a demo link. You guys can try it out, which I put in on Heroku. And then your guys' username gonna be your first name, and your password is also gonna be your first name. If you go ahead and open up, everyone should see an email that I sent using my email address. So this is gonna be our final product, how it looks like. It's more like a Gmail instead of a personal email, but if some of you want to, you can like configure the setting a little bit, so it's only accepting like your credentials or something. But right now it's designed somewhat like a Gmail service.
What was the login again?
Login is your first name, password is also your first name. Username is your first name, password is your first name. If you don't see your don't see an email for some reason, you can use a username MLH, password is MLH, to try that to like anonymous account. I test that should work. All right. So that's gonna be something we're gonna be building. Sorry, the email is kind of malformed because I forgot that I need to actually add manual line breaks in Python. I forgot about that, so like everything's kind of jammed together, 3 lines. It's kind of hard to read, but sorry about that. All right, DNS maybe is a little bit hard, so I'm gonna do it with everyone just to make sure you guys have the correct configuration, as that matters. So let me go ahead and let me go stop. Oops, I shouldn't click stop sharing. But let me go to share again. All right, so let me go to forward email. And so I have this kinetic Kowalski.online. I have that registered. And then I also verified it using the DNS. All right. So the DNS looks something like this. DNS configuration looks something like this on domain.com. And the DNS validation is gonna take somewhere between 30 minutes to 24 hours. So there might be so when the service can actually work, maybe it depends. But once the DNS thing successfully get configured and verified by the forward email, then the code will automatically work as well. All right. So for example, if this is your domain, if you're using domain.com, you want to head to Dns and Name Servers, and I want to go to Dns Records. If you're using domain.com, it has some existing MX records already, so you need to delete them and add these two. All right, and then you also need to add a txt record. Record, I think. But once you sign up with the forward email, the forward email has pretty clear instruction of how do you do the DNS part. DNS is the hardest part. The coding is not that hard actually. But once you get the DNS configured, everything will work.
Do we have any questions till now? Let me check the GitHub board.
Oh yeah, questions. I almost forget that part.
Don't see any questions over there, but in case you joined late, please feel free to put your questions over here. Just send the link in the chat. Cool.
All right. So once we get the MX and TXT record set up, that's all you have to do right now. So that's all like the setup part, which is the most tedious part. Once we get that set up, then we can get started with the actual coding.
Beyond, someone just asked if we can get a recording of this session. Are you fine with that?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
All right. Let me know if if everyone need any help or something with setting up the DNS. That's kind of like the most tedious part and sometimes the most confusing part. And if you're using domain.com, don't change other information. Just delete all existing MX records, add these two, and add one TXT. If you change something else, the whole thing gonna crash because I tried it and the whole thing crashed. It took me a while to get everything fixed up again. Okay. Yes, no problem, Chao. So DNS records. That's the three things that I boxed is DNS records. Everyone need to set up here. So first is 2 MX records, and then these two must be the only 2 MX records, and the name can be @ and one is mx1.forward.email.net. Another one is mx2.forward.email.net. Priorities are all 10. All right. If you're asking something like time to live, time to lie, TTL, you can really put whatever you want there. I don't really know what that means, but I just put 1.5 hours. Maybe that's like how long does it take to change or something. And then is the TXT record. So TXT is basically the same thing. Beside the content, it's going to be forward-email equals to and your email your test mail email there basically. Okay, if you're doing on the Namecheap, sorry, I just saw the chat. I can show it on the Namecheap. If you want to take a look. So Namecheap is a little bit different because it doesn't have everything stacked up together. So if you go to dashboard, let me log in really quick. All right. Okay, I don't know. All right, so then you're gonna go to domain list. And then I'm just gonna choose one of my domain. It's like all the way at the bottom. So if you want to set up the MX records on Namecheap. So it's all the way at here. So on the mail setting, you're gonna choose custom MX. And then here, then you can add MX record, add MX1, 10 automatic, stuff like that. That's how you can do it on Namecheap. So forward email also have if you go to like FAQ, I think they also show it. Like most of the domain providers, like how to set up the DNS for them. All right. Does anybody need more time with anything like before the DNS part? All right. So this is the. So you can try it out here. You could go to custom-email.herokuapp.com/login. Username and password is your first name for within our pod. Otherwise, username and password is MLH. You can go there, and I send an email. I send an email there, which you can take a look about like how this like site navigation. And if you want to try, which I hope it's gonna work, is what you can do is you can from your own email address you can send an email to your first name at kinetic-kowalski.online. And you should be able to see that message once you refresh a few times. So it should also support that. Assume my worker didn't die, that is, but hopefully it didn't die. All right, one more thing. Here's the source code. Is github.com/boyan12/custom email. This is the source code, contains everything we're gonna do. I didn't add a README. It's basically like I pushed like the final changes yesterday, so I didn't have a time to add README yet. But basically, I have all the code there. So if you anytime if you need to go their code to catch up, you can go there. The code's basically gonna be pretty much the same. Okay. So with that being said,
maybe also put that particular link in the chat.
Yes. Yes. Let me type it.
Nice, thank you.
No problem. All right. So let me share. All right. So once everyone set up with the DNS, if you didn't do that, don't worry. You could do the DNS part like any time really, because I have all the instructions on the forward email. Now what I want everyone to do is open their terminal or however. Go open your terminal, and then I want you to go ahead and install Django. If you don't have it on your local environment already, you can do that by typing pip install Django or pip3 install Django, which that should give you the most current version of Django. All right, gonna paste that command in the chat. I think most of us should have Django installed, but if you don't have it, just in case, you can type this command. And then once you install it, there should be a command available, a CLI available called Jingle admin. We can use Jingle admin to start a new project. So you can navigate to your directory, and then this is the project. And then you don't have to call this custom email. You can call this really whatever you want. And I'm just going to open it in Visual Studio Code. And now we'll create our Jingle project, and then we can start working with this particular Jingle project here. I'm just going to start a virtual environment, though that's not really necessary here because most of the package is really like an all-day package. Everybody really use it. We're just going to use something like requests and Django. I think that's all external module we're going to use. Also, let me know if you need more. Oops, that's too loud. All right. Also, let me know if you need more time or something, where you need me to slow down a bit. Let me know. Or if you want to, you can always use it.
Yeah, we should also keep a note of the the time.
Yeah, I
yeah.
know. Yeah. This is gonna be. We're gonna see how this is gonna go. Hopefully, we can finish right here. All right. So okay, now I'm gonna start with really coding. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna activate my virtual environment. Okay, so once we got everything set up and we have Visual Studio Code open up here, what we're going to do is we're gonna create a new app. In case you haven't used Django before, Django's built like a project and app basis. So we're gonna have a big project that's named custom email, and this time we're just gonna create one app. All right, and we're gonna type Python manage.py start app. We're gonna call the app dashboard. I'm gonna call the app dashboard. All right. All right. So then what we can do is we are gonna go ahead and add it to our settings.py as part of our installed app. And in here, we're gonna put dashboard instead of this installed app directory. I mean, not directory, list. And we're gonna go to urls.py here. And we're gonna add a pass. And I'm just gonna give an empty quote. And I'm also gonna import a function called include from jingle.urls, which can include all the URLs I'm gonna add. And in here, I can say dashboard.urls. All right. And then once we get this part set up, we're going to create a urls.py inside of the dashboard. And then in here, let's wait for Visual Studio Code to finish creating the file, I suppose. All right, okay, there we go. All right, and then in the urls.py set of the dashboard, we're gonna say from jingle.urls import pass from dot import views, and then I'm gonna create a list called URL patterns, and then for now it's just gonna be empty list. All right. So due to the time that we have, I'm going to cut through. I'm not going to implement the authentication part. I'm going to jump directly to the email receiving and sending part, since that's really what this project is really about. But again, if you need to take a look again, settings.py, you just need to add dashboard instead of installed app list. On the custom email urls.py, you need to make sure that you include from jingle.urls, and then add this pass. So it's just going to be empty string, comma, include, and instead of the argument, it's going to be dashboard.urls. And then we're going to create a file called urls.py instead of the dashboard. All right. So once we get that set up, now we're going to get started to coding. So we're going to get started to write some like real Python code. Now we're going to go to dashboard views.py. All right. And we're going to use function-based Django programming. All right. And so Django has like both class and function. We're going to use function-based. So in here, we're going to create a new function, and we're going to call this index. All right. And we're going to call this index. Let's see if index. Okay. So index, and in here, we're going to write pass for now. All right. And then we're going to also create one more called send. Also going to be pass for now. All right. So this is basically like the boilerplate. These are the two functions that we're going to spend most of the time today to implement. And then I would like to go to the models.py. So instead of the dashboard's model.py, we're going to create a new class called emails. And it's going to inherit from a subclass, from a class called models.model. All right, first model is lowercase, second model is uppercase, and first model is plural, second is not plural. All right, and so what I'm doing right now, the models.py is basically a way to create a SQL model, and we don't have to like manually creating SQL models in Django. It kind of help us do it automatically. So in emails, here's are a few important fields that we must have. All right, here's some of the important fields that we're gonna have. So we're gonna have timestamp equals to models dot char field, and max length is gonna be 15. Timestamp, and this is going to be in millisecond. Millisecond timestamp. We're going to have a subject. And I'm going to call this char field, and we're going to give a max length attribute 100. So whenever you're using models.char field, you need to specify the max length attribute. We've got timestamp, and then we're going to have body, which is going to be a text field, so it doesn't have limitation of its length. And then we're going to say from email equals to models.email field, and then to email, models.email field. All right. So that's the important thing. And then misspelled email here. All right. So that's the dashboard. That's the models. That's going to be our only models we're going to create. So once you finish writing this model in a terminal, you can execute this command. And we're going to run the manage.py. Whenever we are doing something that's related to the entire Jingle project, we're always going to execute this manage.py. And excuse me, in here, we're going to say make migrations. And these are what we call quote unquote migrations file, which basically is like a pre-stage of constructing Jingle, constructing SQL table. It just tells Jingle how to construct the SQL table. If you don't know SQL, it's basically a database language. And then here we can say Python manager py migrate. So you can see the first time you run this, it's going to migrate off some of the default session. And one of them here is called dashboard, the 001 initial. I'm pretty sure this is the migration file that we created. All right, so that's about SQL or the database. Okay. So now we're gonna go back to our views.py, and now we're gonna go ahead. One second. All right, and now we're gonna go ahead and start implementing it. Since we're not gonna implement a syndication for today, what we're gonna do is actually one more thing before we even do that is we need to from .models import email. We need to make sure we have this email class here so we can use it. All right, so what's going to happen is I'm just going to say this. I'm just going to say email. So we're going to go ahead and assign the variables, and we're going to run some ORM. All right, object related mapping. It's basically a way, at least how I think about it, is a way to run SQL command as a class. So in here we can say this: email the objects, and we're going to say .filter. All right, so you can get more than one result. And now I'm going to say to email, going to be I'm going to say no admin at kinetic Kowalski.online. So right now, just hard coded this like the admin, their username. But when you implement a syndication system, it doesn't have to be hard coded. All right. So that's emails. And in here, you're gonna say return render, which means you want to render an HTML template. Request. And in here, you're gonna say dashboard / index.html. Emails is emails. The reason I provide a dictionary at the end is because we want to make sure that these variables can pass. And this is what we call Jingle. It's basically a way to using Python variable and use it during our HTML template. All right, one second. I'm going to turn my lights on really quick. Okay, there we go. Should be better now. All right. Okay. So this is the index. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a template. So templates, what you're going to do is you're going to create a folder inside of the dashboard folder, and you're going to call this templates / dashboard. That's kind of usually the convention for us to create a template. Yeah. All right. And inside of here is we are just going to create one file called index.html. All right. That's all we're going to have in for now, dashboard. All right. And then I'm going to use I'm going to use the Emmet shortcut if you want, if it works. Yep. So don't even care about spelling now. I just hope I can get this thing work. So in here, you're going to say call some email. And now in the body, what's going to happen is we're going to say for email in emails, you can see we can actually write something like a Python style for loop here. If you want to read more documentation, you can just search Django, and it's going to give you documentation on how to use different commands like that. And then I'm going to say, and then you can see sometimes we have this curly braces %, and sometimes we have this double curly braces. The difference is the double curly braces is the expression, while the curly braces and the % is most of the time is for execution. So you want to like really write some Python code, you will use curly %. But if you just want to embed some Python variable, you will usually use double curly braces. And in here, for now, we're just going to say email subject. And maybe we can also say email.body. And we're just going to apply a safe parameter here. Hopefully it's safe. Safe basically means it's allow rendering HTML, rendering as HTML instead of a pure text. And then you can see we use something like dot notation. So it's really just referencing like a field from the class. All right. Okay. So that's so now we could go ahead and run our project. We can run it by typing Python -py run server. And then make sure 8,000. If you have existing service, make sure 8,000 host 8,000 isn't blocked, because if it is, it's going to cause an error. But it's going to defaultly run it in 8,000. And you should see something like this. We're going to fix it real quick so it doesn't show this anymore. All right. Okay. So that's the custom. So that's the main part for our Jingle project. But now another interesting part is going to be how can we get the test email back? Because it's going to forward the email to test mail. We do somehow get it back, and then we need to store it into our database so we can work with it. That's why I'm going to create something called worker.py. This is the first time I'm really using some worker, but it's in this worker, all it's going to do really is just going to checking if we got new mail to our test mail. All right, because test mail doesn't offer webhook, which means we have to repeatedly running. At least that's the only solution I have. Repeatedly running, and then if there is new email, we're gonna get it, store in the database. Done. All right, so this code is gonna be a little bit confusing now. First of all, I'm gonna install requests. That's a module we're gonna use, and and then you need to make sure you have test mail open, because you need to have the API key there. All right, and we're also going to use something called environment variable. So to store our credential. All right, so first of all, I'm going to say import requests. All right, and in here, I'm going to say while true, so because it's really just an infinite loop. We're just going to repeatedly doing this job. Let me see. All right, so in here, we're going to say this. We're going to say, actually, before we do that, we're going to do a few connections first. All right, so in here, we're going to say com equals to SQLite3.connect. Make sure you create it on the root directory here. And then we're going to say db.sqlite3. Just going to share a database together. All right. And then here we're going to say c equals to con.cursor. I don't think we're going to do deployment today, so it's all going to be localized SQLite3. All right. And then what we're going to do here is going to say c.execute. Actually, not that part yet. All right. And that's going to be connect the database, SQL database. And then here we're going to create a function called get current milli time. Pretty sure I didn't spell millisecond that correctly. But. All right. So this function is just going to return the current millisecond. All right. And we're going to say import time here so we can work with it. And then it's basically going to be return round time times the salary. That's going to be the millisecond. A millisecond we're going to have here. And then what's going to happen is you're going to go ahead and define another function called receive mail. And now is this going to be a while true loop? All right, so in here, we're going to say t equals to current milli-time. And then here's going to be the interesting part. I'm going to paste this part from my source code here. All right, so another thing you actually need to import is import OS because I keep forgetting. And you need to define, we're going to use something called environment variable. You're going to say testmail API key equals to os.getIn API key. All right, so that's just going to be our API key we're going to have. And then we're in here going to say testmail. All right, so the reason we need to have this is to make sure is the way that we can connect with testmail. And then so API key will work here. You also need to change a namespace to your namespace. And then let me post this query in the chat as well. All right, so that's the query you're gonna have. All right, okay. Come aboard. All right, okay. All right, let me take a, okay. So then what's gonna happen is in here gonna deal, let me take a look at my source code. All right, so now what's gonna happen is we're gonna go ahead and define this S here. This is gonna be a request session. And because apparently we're using request module in Python, it have like a max redirect or something like 30 times. We're just gonna set it infinite there. So it never die, I guess. Hopefully it never die. All right. So that's gonna be that. And then to set up an environment variable, what you can do is in your terminal, you can just type export testmail API key equals to, and then you can go ahead and paste your API key there without any quotation marks. All right, without any quotation marks. And I'm gonna set up my environment variable here right now. All right, done. I set my environment variable, press enter to finish. Okay, once we get the environment variable to set up, then I'm gonna get this worker to work. All right. So in here, we're gonna say this. We're gonna say s equals to request dot session and s dot max redirects equals to float. I don't know. Apparently it didn't give me an error, so I'm assuming this is correct, but there's definitely a better way to do it. For now, this is kind of like a buggy fix. All right. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to say print emails. So this API, this specific API query, what's going to happen is have like query equals true, means it's going to wait to get a it's going to keep waiting, and it's going to wait till it match all the conditions that I have here. So the API key matches, namespace matches, and the tag. You can remove the tag here if you didn't use any tag. Here we can change it. I use the tag so I can classify between different emails. And then in here I have name timestamp from is t, which is the current milli time, and live query equals true. All right. So now if I go ahead and run this worker, and you can see, and then it didn't show anything because I didn't call the function. If you call the function, run it again, because it start entering the forever loop. All right, the forever loop. And what I will do is I will I will send a message from my end. To the worker, see if we can get anything response from the worker. Almost there. Almost there. Thank you for coming, Louis. We're almost there. So I'm just gonna, let me see. It takes me like a lot of time to figure out how to spell Kowalski. I can never spell it correctly. All right, I'm just gonna say hello world. Hello world. So you cannot see me because I paused my sharing, but I'm actually sending an email to boyan@kineticKowalski.online. What should happen is it should log a message here. And then you can see I got response 200. That's good. I forgot to JSONify it. Shoot. Okay, I might have to send it again. Because I got a response 200, that means it's good. It can get a email back. And it's going to be JSON response, which means it's going to be really easy to work with. All right, let me try to send it again. All right. If I send again, what's going to happen? Sending. All right, we're almost there. Once I get this worker to work. And then you can see I could get a message JSON response here after I send it. You can see result success. And here is, we got the timestamp here we can work with. We got the body, that's the HTML body here. It's from this address and it's to this address. All right, so it works perfectly here as well. And we have from here, we basically have everything we need. All right, you can really use this response to make it as complex or as easy as your email service want. All right, and then once we finish with this, what we can simply do is we can insert it to the database. All right, we're gonna say insert into dashboard _ emails, and then timestamp, subject, body, from email to email, and then values. Oops, I shouldn't pull in here yet. And this is just a really simple SQL query. And then here I can just say be from email and to email. And in here I can substitute all the variable here. So timestamp is emails brackets. It's going to take me a few time to figure out how to read this JSON field, but it's going to be basically going to be emails bracket 0 bracket date. All right, for example. And then once you could go ahead and add all of the comments here, of the variable here, and then once we commit it, what's going to happen is it's going to save to the database. Once you refresh on the Jingle project, what you should see is you should see the email get updated. All right, so that's really the core concept here. We're going to have a worker, just going to keep running, and then we'll have a Jingle front end. When you refresh, you can see the new email come. Okay, so that's the core feature here. There also a send feature, but due to the amount of time, you can take a look on the source code. It's not that complicated. It's really no different than how you send a regular email out. You just need like a real email for the host, username and password, and then you can change like the name of the email to your custom email there. So send also works. But yes, so it's already past 6 p.m. Pacific time here. Does anybody have any question? Anybody have
Maybe
any
you
question?
can also, okay, you already shared the GitHub link for this, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
You want me to go over the code a little bit, or?
I get the idea, and see, we are above time as well. So, well, thanks a lot everyone for joining, and thanks a lot, Bjorn. I personally really enjoy live coding sessions, both conducting them and watching them. So it was great. And when students and everyone else, have something to follow up on while the session is going on, I believe that's really interactive. So yeah, it's much better than, just one person saying something and others watching, so that, others can also like, carry on or something like that. All right. Well, thanks a lot, everyone, for joining. I also got a chance to look into your stand-up notes. Not many blockers over there. So once again, thanks a lot, Bjorn, for joining. And I will share the recording of this particular session. Let me stop the recording right now.